Brown is a fashion retail company based right here in Accra, Ghana. And it's a business that we've been in business for over 15 years, or 15 years at this point. So it's growing, we're expanding, and by extension, that's how we were introduced to Jacob West, because as part of our expansion plans, we definitely needed to bring in a contractor to really make our retail and manufacturing dreams come true. I was actually introduced to Jacob West by my business partner, who's actually already worked with the company, has done a couple of projects, personal and business projects with Jacob West. So I already knew we were going to be in good hands. For Christy Brown, it was really about expanding our production facility. As part of our brand expansion plans, we needed to make more products. We needed to also renovate an existing production facility that we have. So it's a two-part project. One was a new build, and the other was a renovation/restoration project. Talking about the renovation project, it was really reinforcing the structural integrity of a building that we already had, a building that is over 40, maybe even 50 years old. So making sure that it is functional for the nature of our business, but also safe. That's really important for our workers. We employ over 80 people, so we needed to make sure that the space made sense for the business, but also was secure for the people that we were going to put in there. Actually, Jacob West recommended an architect who designed the space, walked us through the existing building. And it's interesting because when you're working with a building that is already existing, or a building that has already been erected, there's space constraints, there are design constraints, there are structural constraints. So Jacob West had to really walk us through what we wanted and what was actually feasible and possible without us having to sacrifice the design vision and the functional vision of the space. Working with creatives is just that. We're very highly involved in anything that has to do with the design of it, but also just bringing Jacob West on board to understand the nature of our business, what we do, how we want to use the space, how we want people to experience, or how we want our employees to experience the space. Where do we need storage to be, and how close do we need that to be to the production floor versus our cutting rooms or our embroiderers. How loud are our machines? So in working with Jacob West really closely, they were able to bring that to life. I think for us at Christy Brown, it was just a question of being honest in terms of things like budget constraints, time constraints, and Jacob West also making sure that we understood what some of these constraints meant in terms of deliverables. So yes, in some cases, certain things that we expected were not able to be delivered by Jacob West, but that was really a question of some of these constraints that I just mentioned. And there was always a workaround, whether there was a delay in the project so that we could actually get what we wanted, or a modification that had to be made to the project so that Jacob West could meet us halfway, I'd say. with Jacob West, it's always a conversation. What can you do? How quickly can you do it? How frequently can you make certain payments? And it's just really understanding the flow of payments and what that would mean in terms of deliverables. So we were able to come to an agreement and establish a payment plan that worked for us, but also clearly outlined what that meant in terms of when the project would be delivered, how soon, and to what extent. This building actually sits in Koligono, in the heart of one of the biggest rural areas in Accra. And it's an old building. It used to be a hospital in the 30s and the 40s. So this is a very old building. And you can even call it sort of a historical monument, because it used to be the Bannerman Estate Clinic. And sometimes in looking for a building or someone in the area, people would refer to the building or the name of the building or what it used to be. So yes, the 40-year-old building, it's been there for decades. And it's interesting because it was built for that time. So for a project that needs to transform a building that old into something that is current, contemporary, and for a business that we've never had before in that area, it was very interesting. It's practically it's a landmark. It's a landmark in Koligono. You can't miss it. Anybody who is looking for even the Tuesday market would use this building as a landmark or a point of direction. So it's nice to know that we're able to restore the building, keep it erect, but then change the function of it. So it was great. Honestly, there was a lot of hand-holding, there were a lot of touch-point meetings, a lot of walkthroughs. So, for us, that made it easier for us to understand exactly what was going on. Lots of updates, lots of progress reports on a weekly basis. So, you feel clued in, you're in on it. And Jacob West really takes you along on the journey. If there are any changes, if there are any challenges that they're facing, sometimes there are difficult conversations to be had, but they're had nonetheless. So it makes it easier for you to course correct, and it makes us as a client comfortable that no matter what, there will always be a workaround. So in general, I think it didn't feel like pulling teeth. It didn't take me or the company away from what we do on a regular basis just because this project was going on. We were able to focus on what we do and leave Jacob West to do what they do. So I think it was great. I really believe everybody should focus on what they're good at. So when it comes to something like a building, when it comes to something like construction, I would definitely say engage a consultant, a contractor, a business that specializes in doing that. Because doing it on your own, you'd realize that there are a lot of expensive mistakes that will be made, and there are a lot of things that you won't know. You know what you want, but you just don't know how to get there. And working with a company like Jacob West will definitely eliminate a lot of those kinks. Jacob West has worked with me on a personal project as well. So, they have the bandwidth, whether it's commercial properties, whether these are for individuals who are building homes. I've seen it, I've lived it, and I would absolutely recommend Jacob West. So the beauty of this particular project is very interesting because we were actually on the site as it was being constructed. So Jacob West was able to carve out a space for us to actually continue our operations while they started the build. So once the new building was ready, Jacob West moved us in there so that they could continue with the renovation and restoration project. So we were seeing it happening every single day without feeling as though it was impeding on our ability to actually function and operate day to day. So we were there, we saw it every single day, and it was great.